In the dimly lit, forsaken town of Dunwich, a sense of unutterable horror had begun to settle, like a shroud cast over the crumbling houses and the crumbling lives of its inhabitants. It was as if the very fabric of reality had grown thin, allowing glimpses of an abyssal realm to seep into the world of men. The rituals of Wilbur Whateley, that twisted and doomed soul, had unleashed a terror beyond comprehension, a terror that now stalked the streets and the shadows, leaving death and madness in its wake. The creatures that emerged from the void were unlike anything that had ever been seen before. Twisted, monstrous beings born of dark and forbidden knowledge, they moved with an unnatural gait, their bodies a mass of writhing, pulsing tendrils, their eyes glowing with an otherworldly green fire. They were the offspring of Wilbur's dark rituals, the product of his maddening quest for power and his unholy union with the unknown. And they were hungry, ravenous for the flesh and the souls of men. As they moved through the town, the air grew thick with an eerie, unnatural silence. The trees seemed to lean away, as if in terror, their branches like withered fingers reaching for the sky. The wind died, and an unearthly stillness fell, as if the very breath of the world had been extinguished. And then the screams began. The screams of the damned, the screams of the terrified, the screams of those who had seen the horrors that lurked beyond the veil of reality. The creatures moved with a purpose, their twisted forms gliding across the ground with an unnatural ease. They seemed to be drawn to the homes of the townspeople, as if they could sense the warmth, the life, the very essence of humanity that dwelled within. And when they found it, they struck, their twisted bodies unfolding like dark, living flowers, their tendrils wrapping around the doors, the windows, the very foundations of the houses. The sound of shattering glass, of splintering wood, of screams and wails, echoed through the streets, a cacophony of terror that seemed to have no end. The people of Dunwich, those who had not yet fallen prey to the creatures, cowered in their homes, praying for dawn, praying for rescue, praying for an end to the horror that had been unleashed upon them. But there was no escape, no respite, for the creatures were everywhere, their twisted forms multiplying, spreading, infecting the very air itself with their madness. The world had gone mad, and the laws of nature, the laws of reality, seemed to have been torn asunder. And at the heart of the horror, at the center of the maelstrom, stood the Whateley farm, that cursed and accursed place, where Wilbur's dark rituals had been performed, where the gates of the abyss had been opened, and the horrors from beyond had been unleashed. The house itself seemed to have changed, its walls twisted, its windows glowing with an otherworldly light, as if it had become a portal, a gateway to the void. The wind howled through its empty halls, a mournful, despairing cry, as if the very house itself was screaming in agony. The creatures, the twisted, monstrous beings seemed to be drawn to the house, as if they were being called, summoned by some dark and ancient power. They moved towards it, their forms blurring, merging, becoming one with the darkness that surrounded them. And as they reached the house, they seemed to disappear, to be absorbed into the very fabric of the building, as if they were returning to the womb, to the source of their creation. The world was ending, the fabric of reality was unraveling, and the people of Dunwich were being consumed, one, by the horrors that lurked beyond the veil. The darkness was spreading, a living, breathing thing that seemed to have a life of its own. And in the midst of it all, The Whateley farm stood, a monolith, a testament to the horrors that had been unleashed, a reminder of the terror that lurked beyond the edges of the world. The moon was hidden, the stars were obscured, and the night was a living, breathing thing, a thing that pulsed with an otherworldly energy. The creatures, the twisted, monstrous beings were everywhere, their forms blurring, merging, becoming one with the darkness. And in the midst of it all, the people of Dunwich were being consumed, their screams echoing through the night, their bodies torn, their souls shattered. The world had gone mad, and the horrors from beyond had been unleashed, bringing with them a terror that would never end. In this desolate, forsaken landscape, where the laws of nature had been torn asunder and the fabric of reality had been unraveled, there was only one certainty. The horror would never end, the terror would never cease, and the darkness would never be vanquished. For in the depths of the abyss, there were always more horrors waiting, more terrors lurking, more darkness to be unleashed. And the people of Dunwich, those who had survived the initial onslaught, would be forever changed, forever haunted by the memories of the horrors that had been unleashed upon them. They would be forever trapped in a living nightmare, a nightmare from which there was no escape, no respite, and no awakening.